Hi friends, it's Amy. Welcome to my bookish life. Today I want to check in on my reading from November 1st through November 9th. So let's get to it. To address the elephant in the room, I have not posted in a while and I have no reason for it. I think the beginning of the school year really it struck me hard. I did one video in September. I did 0 videos in October. I did record some videos during that time. I just couldn't get the gumption to edit them, which is annoying to me about myself. But I am very excited to get back to my check-ins. I will go back at some point and I will go through the books that I read in August and October and September. I read some great ones and I am excited to talk about them. I'm just not really sure how to do that yet with the hiatus I ended up taking. Since the beginning of November, I have finished 7 books. So it is the 10th. It's the morning of the 10th right now, and I have finished 7 books. So I'm very excited about that, and I knew I needed to get back on my check-in. So the first couple books I had already started in October. The first book that I finished was Jasmine is Haunted by Mark Oshiro, and I'm going to be completely honest. This was a Libro FM advanced listening copy that I got through the Educated program, and I was disappointed. I felt like in a lot of ways it was kind of all over the place. I felt that the climax was just not as exciting as I was expecting it to be. Jasmine has felt haunted her whole life, and as a result her mom continuously moves her. However, she keeps on feeling left out because she's always new in different places, and it's just kind of a heartbreaking situation for her as a whole. But then she gets to school and she meets, I'm so bad with names in books. She meets 2 friends and they are very interested in the supernatural. Because they're interested in the supernatural, they connect really well with Jasmine. And there is a really great friendship aspect to this book that I really did enjoy. And I loved how it kind of explored grief and how grief can affect us. I thought that was really great, but I felt like I was being pulled in too many different directions in a lot of ways with the book. And as a middle grade, I think that could kind of jumble a lot. It was really happy, but I did enjoy the listening experience, although I am interested in what the print book looks like. The next book that I finished was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu, Mandanna. I love this book so much. It is a warm hug in a book, and I loved it. I was so sad that it was ending. I wanted more. The main character is Micah, and she is a witch. According to the rules in this witch universe, she is not allowed to be around other witches for long periods of time because the power around them will put them in danger, basically. And Micah feels so lonely and lacks connections with other people. And in order to make up for that, she creates videos about witchcraft that she hopes are not obviously true witchcraft. However, she is seen through by Ian, and Ian needs her help with 3 young witches who need to learn how to harness their power. And I loved this book so much. I loved it. Jamie is the curmudgeonly young man who works with Ian that is very much against Micah coming to help. But of course, he is the grumpy to her sunshine. And it's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And there's so... I really, really loved this book. And I'm a little sad that it took me as long as it did. This is Jamie. He's a librarian. So, I mean, that's awesome. So cozy, so beautiful, wonderful. Perfection. The next book that I finished was Crushing It for Kids by Monica Genta, and this is a nonfiction teaching related professional development kind of book. And I really like Monica Genta on social media. Is just a really dynamic teacher influencer, and she has a lot of great ideas for ways to up engagement in the classroom, and she just really is into celebrating every day. And so it wasn't really anything new or revolutionary in what she was talking about in her book, but it was very invigorating in terms of how I look at what I do with my students and how I look at making their experience in my classroom the best that it can be. And I just really appreciated that. And I loved how she created this acronym for CRUSH that brought together everything that we should do in a school to make the best experience possible. I highly recommend, if you are a teacher, following Monica Genta. She actually is giving away copies of this book because she wants teachers to read it. So if you find her, follow her. She gives access to the book, and it is super short. It's like 70 pages, but it was worth a quick read, and I really did appreciate seeing it and reading it and just getting those words in my head. So recommend for my teachers out there. I will put her social media down in the description by this book. The next book that I finished was Amal, Unbound by Aisha, Saeed. This is a reread for me. It was a read aloud with my 6th and 7th graders. Amal, Unbound is absolutely one of my favorite books to read with my students. Amal is a wonderfully strong and passionate character, and I love how it takes my students here in America and puts them in a place that they don't recognize and is so much different than theirs, that they are still able to relate to the character and feel empathy for the characters. And it just is a really, really wonderful reading experience. If you don't know, Amal is a kind of middle class, she has status in the small village in Pakistan where she lives with her family, but the richest person in the village is a corrupt landowner. Through circumstances, Amal ends up upsetting a very important person, and as a result, she ends up having to go and work as an indentured servant. It really looks at the consequences of change, whether the change is needed and good and necessary. Doesn't mean that it doesn't come without a price. And I just love having those conversations with the kids. I really felt like most of my students were really into it and really enjoyed Amal as a character and seeing all of this dynamic. It is really great to be able to read these books with my students and just kind of see those different perspectives. So absolutely 100% read this with your students. If you are a teacher, if you are not a teacher, read this book. It's great for everybody. There is a second book that came out, Omar Rising, and I've read that as well, and it is fabulous. Highly, highly recommend both books. The next book that I finished was The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson. This is a reread for me. I read this with my 5th graders, and with the movie coming out, the 3rd through 5th graders are all going to be going, actually the 3rd through 6th graders are all going to be going to see the movie, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And I love reading this with my students, especially in my school setting where I do work at a parochial school. I absolutely love it. I love reading this book because of how much I loved it as a child, but also how much it connects the students to what they're reading as well. And I love it. The next book that I finished was another short one, another advanced listening copy from Libro FM, and it is The Sick History of Medicine by Jelena Poleksic. This book is very just kind of like a list of facts, organized very well, but it doesn't really flow great only as audio. So it's a list of facts on how diseases and ailments have been remedied or attempted to remedy in the past. And there are obviously illustrations in the book that have quote bubbles. It just would be very confusing for somebody to listen to without having the book in front of them. And I don't believe that the physical book is out yet. However, the narrator does a really great job of narrating the book and does change his voice kind of uniquely when the thought bubbles are coming up. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. The facts in the book, fascinating facts, just like also a little disturbing. Definitely when it says it's a sick history with all the yucky bits left in, definitely yucky bits left in. The last book that I have finished since November started is Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This book was all over the internet last year. It was touted as having Gilmore Girls vibes, small town, romance, little bit of spice, and it really did deliver the Gilmore Girls vibes for me. I really enjoyed this small town, getting ready for a festival. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's in everybody else's business, and you have the farmer that everybody loves who has a tendency to fall for the wrong women, and it's really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time with this book. The cute romance, mildly spicy, but definitely delivered those Gilmore Girl vibes, and I was definitely here for it. So that was fabulous. In terms of what I'm currently reading, I am reading Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This book is for my In Real Life Cupcakes and Chapters book club. I swatted myself in the face. I do have access to the audiobook of this one, and so I am following along as I read it. I am not very far. I think I'm on like chapter 3. I will have to sit down and really read this one because book club is on Tuesday and it's Sunday. Also, because yesterday was November 9th, I really wanted to start November 9th. I did. And I'm not very far, but I did start it. I read the first chapter. I did begin this book on November 9th. This book by Colleen Hoover takes place, I don't know if it takes place on November 9th every year, but these two people, the two main characters, meet on November 9th every year or something like that. I don't know. I'm intrigued, and I'm reading it now. So there is that. Also, I am reading another advanced listener copy from Libro FM, an older one though, and that is Spying on Spies by Marissa Moss. This is a middle grade biography on how Elizabeth Smith Friedman broke the Nazi secret code, which it's all about code breaking and ciphering, and it's really, really interesting. I'm about 50% through. I was listening to it in the car yesterday, and it's very engaging. The narrator is fabulous so far, and I am just so intrigued by this story that I knew absolutely nothing about. Let me know what you think of these books that I read down in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you've been reading. I can't wait to hear from you down in the comments. Commenting, liking, and subscribing really help my channel grow, and I so appreciate you for doing that. I hope you're finding something wonderful to read, and until next time, happy reading.